Good morning, Warriors. Back with another episode of Vigor Warriors 2 in the 1% Club. Hope you guys are doing well today. First, before I start, I want to wish all of you a very blessed Thanksgiving with your families. Hope you guys enjoy that and give a lot of thanks and blessings for the things that we have. We know that the world is in a lot of complexity right now, but the thing about it is that we're all part of the 1% Club, and that's something to be blessed just by itself. So we have knowledge, information about the way things should be, and how men should be and how women should be. And so I think that that's a very positive blessing. So I'm very grateful to all the men and women who subscribed and comments and all the things on there. We do about 2% women, so I appreciate that as well. So thank you all ladies for also joining us and kind of giving your feedback and input. Got a lot of good feedback and input yesterday. Thank you for all your nice comments. I'll do that more shout out tomorrow when I get a chance, but I wanted to kind of do a short one a little bit here. Nazir actually had a comment from a few weeks back now, talking about how to get back to the streak once you relapse. How do you get back on the streak? So we're going to talk about that for a few minutes while I have a chance, and then we'll kind of get into more of our topics. We have a lot of good ones. I think I saw one on, I actually saw a nice one about Jordan Peterson did on women who really want men to be both reasonable, acceptable, and agreeable and non-agreeable at the same time. So it's a very complex type of thing, but we'll talk about that a little bit more on one of our next broadcasts. And also, I saw a nice video talking about how God really identifies with both the eagle and the lion in a lot of the passages in the Bible, and both of those are very strong leaders. And we'll talk about those a little bit too in a separate broadcast. So we're talking about getting back on the streak. So guys, first of all, the important thing is recognize that we are talking about a lifestyle change. And so as a lifestyle change, you guys are really realizing that this is something we're doing long term. So we have to kind of focus on that in our minds and focus on that to be able to be strong, because we know that the benefits as they continue will just get stronger and stronger. And if we relapse, we just have to continue going back to what we were doing and continuing that streak, because that will continue to build us up. Now, I've had 47 years of this, around 46, 47 years, before I started the streak of 902 days or whatever it might be right now. So I know all of these things about going back and, relapse and going back, all kinds of stuff like that. I went through all of that for many, many years. And I can tell you the issue really is that until you commit, just like in the Fountain of Youth book says, you have to commit to the sixth exercise, which is your, retention and exercise and transmutation and, transmuting the energy. That's the sixth exercise within that book. Until you really go to that, even Kendler says you're not going to become a Superman until you do that, or a Superwoman. So you have to kind of look at this and say, okay, do I want to make that commitment? Because relapsing here and there, is going to happen. It's going to happen. One day my streak is going to end as well. Those things happen because there's temptation. The evil one catches you in different situations, and we're all human, right? So we all make mistakes. We all sin. And so we all have to kind of accept ideas that may happen. But the main thing you're doing is you're keeping the habit of retention in this case. You're keeping the habit of doing it over and over, stopping all of that, not releasing energy. And the more you do that, the better off you're going to be in the long run, because you're going to build that habit of success. And like anything else, warriors, you have to have a habit of success. You build off that success little by little, and then it continues to get stronger, just like your retention gets stronger and your superpowers get stronger as you go through. But what you're doing is you're building a habit of succeeding. You're building a habit of continuing to grow and to ward off all those evil ones and all the people that want to tempt you Those things you have to control. But it's much easier if you have the idea of building this retention over time. And so what happened to me as time went on is that I was able to get longer and longer type of streaks. But I did not commit to this until 900 days ago. Well, now I'm committed to it, and that's a big difference. So number one, when you're off a streak, when you relapse and you're just starting off, you got to think to yourself, am I committed to this? Do I really believe this is going to help us? Okay. Secondly, you have to kind of think to yourself, what happened when I released, right? And what usually happens is that you have some time and you're not really doing those normal things you're doing. You're kind of bored or you're doing something differently. What you have to do is kind of realize that you have to be in a case where you continue the habits you're forming. And this is a key element to this, because what ends up happening is that you get bored or you go out of your pattern a little bit, and now you're interacting with other people or watching TV or something like that, and all of a sudden it hits you, and now all of a sudden you're falling back into that pattern. You're going down that wrong road. And that's happened to me, before many times. And the thing is, what you got to do is continue to go back to your patterns. Now, what I would recommend as you do this is to set up patterns every day. So start off obviously by in the morning getting up. Now I go in the morning, and we've talked about walking. I probably do a special one on walking at some point, but I take my two dogs, my Great Pyrenees and a Newfoundland dog, and I take them for walks at 5 in the morning. So I start with that. Now on days I'm going to talk about days I don't work, because working obviously you're going back and forth, and so you're caught up with all that kind of stuff. You're not going to go ahead and release when you're at work, So that's not a possible threat. So what you got to do then is, if you're at home, which is really more your possible threat than you're in a job. If you're working like I work 65 hours a week, then you're going to get to the point where you're not going to have problems with that until you get a break time, like you're at home or something like that. This is the key to keep busy. So I would really recommend, at least at the beginning, if you're starting your streaks and just kind of building that habit, find things to stay away from the television. Find things to stay away from the computers, unless you're going to just look up information. But again, you've got to do something that's going to keep busy. The idle time that you're sitting around, those are the types of things that have led me into problems. So find things to do, whether it could be hobbies. I have a model train set hobby, which I love, an HO train set hobby. I collect comic books. I have electric football men from the old days. A lot of these things that are hobbies of mine. I like reading. Obviously I spend time with my wife and my kids and all these type of things. These are things that are going to keep you away from that temptation, because you're not going to release, obviously, in public. Or releasing anywhere, unless you're in a private type of situation, right? Or you're not going to have any kind of intercourse with someone, or have sex with somebody until late at night, or in situations like that. So you can avoid these situations. And what I recommend doing is avoiding these situations so you're not tempted. Now the other thing to do is you got to keep yourself clean. And what I mean by that is, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't gamble. I'm kind of a boring person. But besides that, I don't do those type of things. And I did times when I used to do some of that stuff back in the old days, but I don't do that any longer. That gives me a chance to focus on the things that I'm focusing on doing, and staying away from a lot of these tempting situations. Obviously, if you're in a nightclub or you're at a bar, there's a temptation then to find young ladies, or if you're a woman, find men, right? Things like that, right? And be able to do that. There's a temptation to do that kind of stuff. So that's the kind of thing you have to kind of look at to kind of see, I'm going to avoid that temptation. Gambling situations, again, you're in Las Vegas, you're to the tables, all of a sudden you're sitting outside, now you have a bunch of young ladies, escorts out there waiting for you to spend money on. So this is, once again, a tempting situation. Overeating is another thing that actually stimulates that type of process. So you got to be careful of the things that you're doing that's going to add to that temptation. Now, as you get stronger, the power becomes stronger, the habit becomes less, and so now you're not really going to focus on, a problem with some of these things. But once again, don't put yourself in situations where there's tempting things going on. You have to avoid that. You got to fight through that. And the best thing to do is go out and do something. Do something. We've had some recommendations doing power walks, right? And I agree with that. I do them all the time. So in the morning, I'll get up, like I said, 5 o'clock, and I walk the dogs. Come back, maybe if I'm fasting, I just have some liquids, things like that. I exercise. Then I end up doing yard work or working in the house, doing some school work and things. I've had to do that. I take the dogs for 3-4 walks a day. So I'm keeping busy. This is how I help me get to the point where I was able to get a longer streak, because I lost myself in all that other stuff. And I forgot about all this. Now, once it's going to hit you, you're going to run into people, you're going to run into attractive women all the time. And so you'll get that thought. But again, you're in public and you're in situations where you're not going to release, right? And those type of things are going to hurt you. It's only when you're by yourself in situations you can do that. Looks like my dogs and everybody's barking around the neighborhood here. So, but anyway, those are the 3 things I would focus on. A, realize, commit yourself to the long-term goal here. B, make sure that you get busy activities and put yourself in a schedule where you're going to continue to keep busy. And the third thing I would suggest is stay away from all these things that could provide temptational, like environment type situations, like drinking and smoking, gambling, these type of things. And I know it's hard to avoid those things, but until you can get it under control, to the point I wouldn't even try it. And even after that, I really wouldn't try it. Again, I go back to this whole thing that if you have one person that you're with, that person is going to kind of solve a lot of that temptation problems. Now, are you still going to get tempted? Of course. But keeping yourself on busy, preoccupied with things is going to help you with that. Stay committed to the long-term goal. This is a lifestyle change, and that's important. All right, my friends. Anyway, thank you guys for all your comments. And Nazir, thank you for your comment on this one. I'll continue to go through my list of things, and we'll keep talking about interesting topics as we go along. You guys have a great Thanksgiving today, and please bless the Lord for every thankful, grateful you have. And I'm very grateful that we have all these people, all you guys online here looking at the channel and helping out. And this is just phenomenal to me to be able to kind of get out and talk about these things and kind of share ideas back and forth. So again, I had some comments from Mona Lisa, other people like that, and I appreciate the discussion on this because we're all still learning. I'm just still in a learning stage myself, trying to make this as a lifestyle change, monk mode change, and obviously with a wife, and it's very difficult. Monk mode is very difficult, right, at that point. So, all right, guys, God bless you guys. Have a great Thanksgiving, and we'll talk to you soon. God bless you. Battle on.